Uncle Wiggily and the Apple Dumpling. Uncle Wiggily and the Apple Dumpling by Howard R. Garis. Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy, the kind muskrat lady who lived with Uncle Wiggily Long Ears, was in the kitchen clattering away with the pots and pans and kettles. All the while she was singing away like this: "Merrily today I bake, perhaps 'twill be a chocolate cake, or even a pudding, who can tell? Uncle Wiggily likes them well. Puddings, pies, I both can bake. Now let's see, what shall I make?" "Well, my goodness me, sakes alive and some chocolate drops," exclaimed Uncle Wiggily. "Nurse Jane is certainly good to me." "What are you making that smells so good, Nurse Jane?" "An apple dumpling," said she. "They are not made with turnips, are they?" asked Uncle Wiggily. "The very idea! Certainly not," cried Nurse Jane. "They are made of apples and sugar and flour and water and cinnamon and spice and everything nice." "Good!" cried Uncle Wiggily. "Oh, mercy me!" exclaimed Nurse Jane, suddenly jumping up. "What's the matter?" asked Uncle Wiggily. "I thought I smelled the apple dumplings burning." "No, they're all right," she said, as she lifted from the oven two of the nicest apple dumplings you could ever imagine. "What?" cried Uncle Wiggily. "Two apple dumplings? Indeed, this is a lucky day for me." "That is fine." "Oh, please don't be so hasty," begged Nurse Jane, as she poured the cabbage sauce over the dumplings. "Only one is for you, Uncle Wiggily. I made the other for Grandfather Goosey Gander. I'll put it in a pail and cover it up so it will keep hot a long time. Then you may take it to him in your automobile." "I'll do so at once," said Uncle Wiggily. "And when I come back, I'll eat my apple dumpling. Oh, what a lovely day it is." Nurse Jane placed one of the apple dumplings in a pail where it could cuddle up all by itself and keep hot. A little later, Uncle Wiggily drove his automobile around to the front door. Into the machine he got, and with the pail under a blanket, away he started over the hills and through the woods to Grandfather Goosey Gander's. The old gentleman rabbit had not gone very far before he came to a lonesome part of the woods. He was hurrying through it as fast as he could, for he thought maybe some bad dogs might be there and chase him. All at once he came to a little stump house. It was a house made in a hollow stump, a very poor and shabby sort of a house. The windows were stuffed with bits of rags and papers, instead of having glass in them. The door hung by only one hinge, and there was no smoke coming out of the chimney. "Some poor animals must live in there," said Uncle Wiggily to himself. "I wonder if I could help them." Then he heard from the hollow stump house a sad little voice crying, "Oh, Mama, I'm so cold and hungry." And another little voice said, "Oh, Mama, if I could only get warm and have something nice to eat. Even a crust of nut bread would do." "Ha!" exclaimed Uncle Wiggily Longears, the rabbit gentleman, blinking his eyes. "This is where I must do something." He got softly out of his automobile and went to one of the broken windows of the stump house. He looked in, and he saw a poor old squirrel lady and her two little squirrel children. And oh, how hungry they looked, and how cold. "Ha! I'll soon fix this," cried Uncle Wiggily. Back to his auto he went so fast that he hardly needed his rheumatism barber pole crutch. He caught up the pail with the hot apple dumpling in it, and into the stump house he went on the jump. "Here, squirrels," he cried. "Here is something to make you warm. Just gather around it and toast your tootsies. I'll soon have a regular fire here, and you'll be all right. But get warm at this pail first." And the squirrel mama and the little cold squirrel children did so, looking at Uncle Wiggily with strange eyes, as if they thought he was a fairy and might vanish up the chimney, taking the nice pail with him. He took the cover off the pail, and what a delicious smell came out from the apple dumpling. "There you are," cried the old rabbit gentleman. "Eat all you like. It can't hurt you." And I wish you could have seen those squirrel children and their mamma eat. And while the poor squirrels were eating the dumpling, Uncle Wiggily went to the store in his auto. He bought coal for the stove and lots of things for the squirrel family to eat, so they were never cold and hungry again. Then Uncle Wiggily went home. "Where's that other apple dumpling?" he asked Nurse Jane. "I want to take it to Grandfather Goosey." "Why," cried the muskrat lady, "I gave it to you. Did you lose it?" "Never mind what happened to it, Uncle Wiggily," laughed Uncle Wiggily. "I'll just take this one to him, and you can make me another." And off he went with the second apple dumpling. This one he really took to Grandpa Goosey. And if the loaf of bread doesn't get a toothache and jump out of the oven into the dishpan, I'll tell you about Uncle Wiggily learns to dance. Uncle Wiggily and the apple dumpling. An apple dumpling very hot is what these squirrels would like a lot. And Uncle Wiggily, with this dish, is bringing true that special wish. It tastes so good, they just can't wait. They want to taste what's on the plate.